Hey everybody, welcome to episode 43 of the R&R Show. Hello, Ruel, how are you doing?
I am doing fantastic. It's starting to warm up here in Southern California, so trying to stay cool, trying to beat that heat, and I
Yep.
hope you are too.
Same thing in the Pacific Northwest. Depending on how worked up I get, I might have some beads of sweat that you probably won't be able to see because we're in tiny little windows, but that's okay. The important thing is you can't smell it in here, and that is definitely for the best because we need to air it out a little bit. But folks, that's not why you're here. You're here because you want to hear about upcoming crowdfunding games. Everybody wants to hear about the latest that's on GameFound and Kickstarter. And that's something we do every month. And it is time to do it once again. But if you're a longtime fan of the show, you're going to notice something a little bit different this month. In the past, what we've done is, the night before, Ruel and I literally comb over a list of upwards of 800 games that have not launched, and we try to find the 10 that we find most compelling that we haven't talked about in a previous show. That's a lot of work. That's a lot of work.
A ton.
And it can sometimes lead to us missing some really cool stuff. So we're doing an experiment this month. We are shifting things up. Rather than talking about games that will be launching in the future, we're talking about games today that will be ending in the future. This is going to be a list of, I believe, we found, it's either 11 or 12 games that will be finishing their crowdfunding in the month of May, and we think they are worth looking at. And we are saying this with a lot more confidence than we have in the past because we can actually look at the page. We can watch gameplay run-throughs. We can get a better look at the art instead of what we often had to do in the past was detective work. There's one picture of this and a one-paragraph description. Is this a good game? Should we talk about it? We're talking about things that we find to be very, very exciting, and they range from, one of them is literally going to end later today, and one of them is going to be coming out, ending in a few weeks, like 3 weeks. And by the way, did I say May, folks? I meant the month of June. The month of June. We've got one. So we do have one that's ending today in May, but then the rest, we're going to be doing them in chronological order, starting with the one that's ending today, and then ending with the one that ends in a few weeks from now. And in addition to that, before we get to that, we are going to look into the future a little bit because in the month of June, there's going to be a lot of Kickstarter games covered on the Rahdo channel. Ruel's going to be stepping up and doing one as well, as I recall. And so we are first going to give you a quick rundown of coming soon to the channel, these games. Then we will talk about leaving crowdfunding very, very soon, these other games. And wish us luck, folks. This is a big experiment. And we definitely love feedback, including, since this is a brand new way to go, we were thinking maybe we should have a name for this. And our first thought was we could call this the Crowdsource. Right? Every week, or every month, we bring you the crowdsource, the source for all your crowdfunding needs. But then our live audience suggested, what about crowdsauce? And I have to admit, I kind of fell hard in love with that. And then we did a vote, and the audience chose crowd sauce. But then at the last second, somebody suggested, what about crowd sorcery? And we're like, I really love that one too. So if this show works, it needs a name. And you can help us out, folks. Down in the comments, if we're going to do this once a month, what do you think it should be called? Do you like the crowdsource? Very official sounding. Or do you like something a little bit more cheeky, like crowd sauce? Or do you want something kind of in between, the crowd sorcery, or something else? Let us know. And and I think we're ready to go.
Yeah, we are. But first, there's something on your table there, my friend. Do you want to talk about that and share what is on your table today?
I'm glad you asked, Ruel, because this is very, very important. What I've got on my table right now is Hacktivity, which I adore this game. It is actually crowdfunding as we speak. It is going to be ending in the month of June. We're going to be talking about it in a little bit because it's on the list, but let's talk about it a little bit more because, first of all, if you've ever played Netrunner and you've thought, boy, Netrunner's really cool. I wish I could play it solo, or I wish I could play it co-op. You might want to check this out because this is a cyberspunk. That sounds dirty. A cyberpunk game all about hackers trying to take down viruses in cyberspace. Players are working together, and the core gameplay is so simple. Every round, depending on the tension level, which rises over time, you have to draw a certain number of cards. At the beginning, it's 3. So I've got my deck. Oops, that should be over here. I've got my deck of good guy cards. There's a deck of bad cards. I have to draw 3. I could just draw 3 from here. and then I have to deal with all of these. We win by destroying all of these viruses. We lose if we run out of time because we run out of our own cards. And every round I've got to decide, well, I could just take 3 good cards. Probably not a good idea to do it right now because I don't really have, I've got this one standing alpha virus to kill. But let's say in the first round I decide to draw 2 bad ones and 1 good one. And now I'm playing solo today. If Ruel and I were playing together, he would have his own deck of cards. He would have to choose how many of his cards and how many of the virus cards we want to play. And this is a limited communication game, folks. Ruel wouldn't be able to tell me what he's got. But then we have to work together to figure out, right, what is the best order to play all the cards we've got. So I've got a virus here, and every virus card you've got a choice to either just kill it straight out, but then you deal with the really big bad. This will cut down this will basically raise the firewalls, and they get closer and closer. These things get thrown into the deck, and they really slow us down as these fill up. And this will heal an existing one. So this alpha virus will become stronger if I kill this. Oh my goodness, do I want to do this one? Oh, and the critical failure will raise twice. There's a lot of ways to lose, only one way to win. So we will suffer mightily if I decide to just kill this thing right now, which is what we're here to do. But instead, I could say, hey, how about we put it on the deck? And what that means is it has 2 hit points, or cyber hit points, and now that means, oh, we don't have to do all those really terrible things, but when we eventually kill this thing by doing damage, it will hit one of us back for 2. So either we have to take the damage or everything else has to take the damage. I think that might make sense. And the thing is, if I were playing cooperatively with Ruel might say, I've got this really bad thing. He can say what it does, but he can't say how hard it hits. And I might be able to say, hey, you know what? Don't worry about it. I can kill the thing straight out, and I've got a healing card. So after I kill it and it hits me, I'll be able to heal myself. So we can have that kind of, indirect communication, trying to figure stuff out. But eventually, we will start playing our own cards. Like I've got this one here. And there's the interesting thing about our cards. In the same way, you can either just take the big penalty and kill them straight out, or take the weaker penalty and have to fight them over time. You can play these for the top or the bottom action. And so you can see I can put it over here. Oops. Yeah. On the on the top or the bottom. So I could play this one right now to lower the alert, so we stave off getting firewalls thrown at us, or I can actually, that's lowering the alert or getting rid of firewalls. So I can do one of these 2 things. I could play this right now, but Jen might say, wait. I don't have any alert cards. So we have a lot of, all of the cards we've got do all kinds of stuff. They do direct damage to the bad guys. They make the alert level rise, but do more damage to the bad guys. Do I want to hurt them for a little, or do I want to hurt them for a lot? Do I want to spread out lots of little damage, or, instead raise the alert and hit both for really big damage? Depending on how it goes, knowing that this has 1 hit point and this has 2 hit points. In the solo game, you get really crappy cards thrown in that just kind of clog up your deck. And then each one of the 4 characters you can play have unique special powers as well. Like Blast here, he's got special power cards that let you duplicate the powers of other characters or heal each other and whatnot. So this is a really fun, fast-playing game that is super slick and clean playing. Here's a list of all the different, abilities that you see in all the different icons as we play through the game. And it's just fun, it's fast, and the game comes with a bunch of different missions. So they change up. Like we're going up against the Energizer, who actually most of the bosses just have 1 level. This one has 4 levels we have to fight our way through before we can get to defeat it. And between the variety of characters, between the really fun cooperative play and the fun solo play. When you play solo, you take 2 different characters, you shuffle their decks up, and it becomes one big super deck where you can combine powers with each other. I'm in love with this game. It rated very, very high for me last month. It's going, it's on Kickstarter right now. It's already funded. I guess I talked about it now, so I won't have to talk about it so much later. But the important thing is, one of you folks can win a full all-in edition of this game. You know what it reminds me of, Ruel? I never thought about it till this very second. The fact that, okay, I've got my cards, I wait to see what you do, and then I decide, because they all have a top or bottom, this also is, what if I took Netrunner, turned it co-op, and combined it with Gloomhaven?
Ooh.
That is what this game is. With the choose the top or the bottom. Oh, I chose, I thought I was going to do this, but after you did the thing, I've got to change it up. I've got to do this other thing now. We can kind of communicate. Oh, it's so good. So, Netrunner meets Gloomhaven in a co-op card game. That's Hacktivity. One of you will win it, but how do they win, Ruel?
Well, I'm glad you asked. The way you win, folks, is watch the show and just pay careful attention. One of us is going to say the secret word, and you're going to take that. And the word, I'm going to let you right now. It's not a secret anymore. The word is sauce.
Exactly.
SAUCE. You don't have to know how to spell it. You just need to hear one of us say it during the show. And then what you're going to do is take note of the game that we're talking about when we say sauce, and then send the name of the game in an email to contest@rahdo.com, and you'll be entered into to win your very own copy of Hacktivity.
Yep, which I highly recommend. And we will be doing a drawing for that on June 7th. So you basically have a week from today to listen, keep your ears peeled. When one of us says sauce, send that game to contest@rahdo.com. And you know what? If you don't hear it, there are options. If you're a Patreon backer of the show, you can just direct message me on Patreon and I'll tell you what it is. If you subscribe to the show on Twitch, I'll tell you what it is as well. So you can just sit back and enjoy the show. One lucky winner is going to be very, very happy with a very, very cool game. But we've got that out of the way. And I think it is time to start with the show proper, which when we set out today, remember, I thought was going to be called the Crowdsource. But it might be changing. Again, we'd love some suggestions down in the chat. But first, on the show, we're going to do two halves. First, we're going to do a coming soon, talking about games on GameFound and Kickstarter that will be going live in the month of June. And that me or Ruel or Kim or Shay or everybody, there's all hands on deck. We got a lot of games to cover in June. Then we will go to the ones that are ending, that are very, very, you don't want to miss out because you only have one last chance to get on board. So first of all, in the coming soon section, we've got a bunch to talk about. These are in alphabetical order, and I am very, very happy and excited about Aeon's End, Past and Future. Everybody thought Aeon's End was done after the second Legacy game. They thought the story was over. No! The story continues by going deep into the past, hundreds of years before the first Aeon's End, and generations after the events of Legacy of Graveholt. There are 2 new campaigns you can play through in this box with a whole bunch of new heroes, a bunch of new nemesis, and it's as great as it's ever been, introducing really cool new stuff in the market with how you interact with cards that hasn't been done before. Aeon's End just keeps on getting better. You'll be able to see my run through of it coming soon. Then we've got Amun Re, which I am very excited about as well, because I have wanted to play Amun Re, I feel like, for 20 years, and this is the 20th anniversary edition. This is one of the classics from Reiner Knizia, one of his auction greats, building pyramids in the ancient world using a really clever auction system. The problem has always been, it's only a 3-player minimum game. And so I've never had a chance to play it. Although Amun Re the card game is very good and it works well for 2. But this new 20th edition, 20th anniversary edition, which has gorgeous art from Vincent Dutray, also includes 4 new modules, one of which is called the Viziers, which makes 2-player gameplay finally possible, which is what I've been waiting for forever. So I'm looking forward to covering Amun Re, the 20th anniversary edition. Then we've got Bretwalda, and I think maybe somebody else has something to say about that.
That's me. I'll be covering this game this month, folks, so stick around for that. I literally just got the prototype in, I think, end of last week, so I'm pouring over the rules. It's going to be a good one, so be sure to tune in for that.
It's a big 4X game in medieval times, right?
Yes, it is, and it's I can't wait. It's gonna be exciting.
Yeah, it looks really nice from the pictures I've seen. So that'll be another one we're covering. Then moving on, we have got Davy Jones's Locker: The Kraken Wakes, and this is a pirate game. It is a cooperative pirate game, and it has 2 halves. The first half, you're just doing pirate stuff, fighting, navies, and getting buried treasure, and maintaining your crew, and upgrading your ship, and stuff like that. But that's all in service of the second half, because in the second half of the game, the Kraken wakes up and tries to kill everybody. So the first half of this game is a race to level up your pirate ship and your crew as fast as you can, and then the second half of the game is an epic battle where you try to collectively take the Kraken out. And what really surprised me most, and what sounds most cool, is when it's coming to the end and my ship goes down, I'm not out. My crew then jumps onto your ship, and my crew helps you and man some of the stations on your ship as long as you can stay afloat. That's very, very cool. Sounds really thematic. Looking forward to Davy Jones's Locker: The Kraken Wakes. Then there is Divine Dungeon. Death is not their destiny. Is not your destiny. It's theirs. This is a tile-laying dungeon game. I have to admit, I don't know much about it, but I am looking forward to digging in deep on this one. We've got Factions of Sol, another one that I'm not covering. I have to admit, the ones I'm not covering I don't know as well. But if I recall correctly, this is a pick up and deliver game in space. And the trick is, whenever you spend resources to move into a space, anytime somebody else wants to go there to that particular planet, they have to pay more. So very quickly, costs really escalate, and you have to be very, very smart about how you try to zip around the solar system delivering stuff, I guess. Factions of Sol. Then there is First in Flight. This is another one for me. This combines deck building, push your luck, and time tracks. A la Glenn Moore. That, it turns out to be an amazing combination of 3 wonderful mechanisms as players compete to do better than the Wright brothers did and be the first to fly that 36 meters. And, so we're in a race to, test our planes, get them better, and just inch closer and closer and closer using all kinds of special powers and whatnot. From the designer of Planet X, the search for Planet X, the design duo. Yeah. And everybody knows how big a deal. And this is them pivoting, doing something completely new and different that is also excellent. Okay, then there is Gathering Gloom. This is probably one of the biggest, heaviest, most complex co-op games I have seen in quite a while. It has the same basic, pandemic-style co-op approach of, oh, look, we've got a lot of problems on the board, and we're just running around trying to deal with them while trying to pursue a big thing. What are we trying to pursue? Well, we are a scary family of monsters, of zombies and werewolves and vampires. The game is actually trying to recreate the vibe of an old 60s soap opera called Dark Shadows. And apparently it does that very well for old school fans of Dark Shadows. And, but like I said, it kind of bucks the trend of, oh, let's do a pandemic thing, but just keep it really nice and simple and light. This is not a gateway game at all. It's really rich. There's a lot of stuff that's going on, a lot of levers to pull, and you'll be seeing it this month. Then we've got Journey Adventure Quest, or Jack. This is a very fun, Jen and I played this a couple of months ago. I'll be filming it soon. It is a set collection game where we are trying to upgrade our armor, our weapons, our spells, all because we're fantasy adventure characters, and we're trying to do it to take out a boss. And it's a competitive game. Everybody's trying to get the best set of stuff so they can beat the boss. But then we do it via a Seven Wonders style draft. I've got cards. I'm going to have to give some to you. I keep some for myself. And then at the end of an era, everybody gets a stack at the first box. So the interesting thing about when we take these cards, we stack them on top of existing cards. So cards compound. They don't replace each other. What starts out as a crappy little mace, by the time I've played 3 or 4 cards to it, it's become a super uber mace. But at the same time, I'm leveling that up. The bosses are leveling up as well. And it's just a fun, fast, this is very much could be a gateway style game for folks who like fantasy adventure. You can watch for that coming. And then we've got Leviathan Wilds. Oh, this might be my most excited. This is basically Shadow of Colossus, the board game. And for folks who don't know, that's a classic PlayStation 2 game where there are gigantic Leviathans wandering the world, and it's our job to stop them. But in Shadow of Colossus, it was your job to kill them. In this game, it's our job to heal them. You'll heal their wounds so they stop rampaging and can go about. And so I love the gameplay of the entire board being this big Leviathan, and it's actually a storybook game, so it's got lots of different Leviathan, lots of different boards as we move around and compete to, or I don't remember if it's cooperative or competitive. I'm super excited about it, though. But the fact that we are healing the creatures rather than killing them, yes, more of that, please. Very excited for Leviathan Wilds. Then we've got Majesty of Dragons. This is Shay will be doing this one if I recall correctly, a head-to-head dueling game where we are trying to build up the strongest army of dragons to take each other out. And the interesting thing is, hey, that sounds a little Magic the Gathering, right? But just focused on dragons. This game brings auctions. Because you've got the dragon on your side doesn't mean somebody else couldn't bid higher and pull them away from you. And so, the dragons are very fickle and you've got to keep them on your side. And so it brings auction mechanisms into dueling wizard style gameplay. Very intriguing. Looking forward to seeing that. Then we've got Reach, or USC Reach. This is, which one is this one? Oh, this is another pick up and deliver game, if I recall correctly. Oh, I do not remember this one. This is another one that I am not doing. If I recall correctly, Shay is doing this one. It's obviously set in outer space. Yeah. Oh, that's right. Yes, and it has a big focus on upgrading your ship, going from planet to planet, trying to help people solve problems. It has a cartoony look to it, if I recall correctly. You'll know more about it coming soon. Shay liked it enough to say, yes, I would like to cover that. So watch for USC Reach. Then there's Septima. This one's coming from Kim. I do remember that. She's excited for this one. This is from Mind Clash Games. Top dogs in the industry of making big, complex, super thematic games. This is them trying to make something more akin to a gateway. Supposedly it's much lighter, more straightforward. You are trying to protect a coven of witches and grow in power and influence. I can't wait to see Kim's coverage of it because she does an amazing job. Shoe Tactics. Remember a few months ago, Ruel, we talked about what a game changer Voyages was. Print and play Kickstarters. Shoe Tactics is another one of these from an independent developer in Vietnam. And then when he reached out to me, he said, you know what, I never thought I'd be able to publish this, but after Voyages was so successful, I got to give this a try too. So I'm looking forward to seeing this is a solo campaign-driven roll and write that basically tells the story of a particular dynasty, a Shu dynasty's defense of ancient China. It has really nice art. Looking forward to it. Trailblazers is from the designer of Pipeline and Curious Cargo, Ryan Courtney, if I recall correctly, and it's card patching, one of my favorite mechanisms that nobody seems to know about. So I'll be covering that one, and then I think the last one is the Umbrella Academy. And this is coming from designers who have been at Games Workshop for like 15 years. So like really old hands. This is another pandemic-style cooperative game where everybody's working together in the comic book Umbrella Academy universe, not the TV show universe. And what really intrigued me the most was because they are a dysfunctional family in the comics and the show, that can come into gameplay too, because sometimes you'll have family feud cards you have to deal with in the middle of trying to save the world. So, that was a lot, and I think, that was all of it.
Wow.
Oh my gosh.
What a month we have coming up here on the channel. I'm excited to be part of this, and I mean, all these games look fantastic. I mean, I'm genuinely curious about every single one.
Oh yeah, I agree.
Yeah, it's like you said, all hands on deck this month. We've got a ton of games to check out. So, folks, again, don't forget to hit that subscribe button, and you'll get notified whenever we release videos here.
Yes, indeed. Well, folks, that was for now the crowdsource, our coming soon section. But now we move on to closing time. The games that in June will be, closing up shop and moving on to pledge managers and publishing and all the rest of it. And so we've got a few more of those to talk about. And that I'm not going to monopolize that one. I've got about half of them. Ruel has about half of them. This is both of us had a lot of overlap, but we both had several that were unique to us. And we're going to be doing this in order from closing soonest to latest, which means I think I am going to be starting with the first one. Let me see if I can get it here on screen. Yes, I do. So, first of all, on May 31st, which is today, of course, we have got... Oh, where did you go? I've so many buttons to push, folks. I sometimes lose track of it all. Yeah, okay, here it is. This is called Warline. It's already funded. It's up for 18 more hours as of the time we're recording this, so probably up for maybe a dozen hours by the time you might see this. And this is a game where you design custom maneuvers, craft your path to victory, design a battlefield, design your army, design tactics, design your own path to victory in this sandbox fantasy warfare game. And if you know me, folks, you're saying, why am I talking about a sandbox fantasy war game? Because, of course, I am famously not really big for direct conflict. There's a couple things that really stand out about this game. One, the sandbox. This game, a lot of games promise sandbox, but few games really deliver on the idea of emergent gameplay, where your ideas, your plans of combining X and Y and Z will lead to solutions to problem that the designer themselves never thought of. Because it is truly it's like a building kit. It's like a Lego, a box set of how can you combine all these different things to defeat your opponent on the field of battle with these cool, really neat looking, big chunky dice that represent your different factions as they move around. And you don't have to take my word for it. Tim Chuen who has an amazing channel on YouTube. He actually did a run through with a friend of his. If you scroll down and watch his video, see how much fun he and his friend are having. It definitely convinced me that this is a brilliant game. Okay, here it is, yeah. Warline, multiplayer gameplay. This really sells the idea of how this is not a game where, oh, look, you just have to follow the rules. You make your own rules in this game. So as a former designer myself, that really intrigues me. But the other reason this is so big for me is because of the current designer, Justin Linegang. Full disclosure, folks, is a personal friend of mine. I was a video game designer, a creative director for 20 years, about 2 decades. And in all that time, Justin had to be the most passionate and creative designer I ever worked with. I was constantly, every day I walked into work with him, I was blown away by his enthusiasm and his raw, unbridled passion for design and how to make games that allow players to become truly in control of their own destiny, as opposed to following a set of rules that we as the designers laid out for them. So knowing Justin and his predilections and his skill, and then seeing Tim's video, convinced me 100% that Warline, which has got 18 hours to go as of the recording, is definitely worth checking out. Phew.
Wow. That looks really cool.
Yes.
And again, I had no idea you knew him. So wow, what an interesting system here where you're going to be crafting. Are you basically making certain rules up as you go along, or rejiggering things, or?
Well, the game comes with a very simple set of rules, and the way they combine, depending on, I never thought about using this at the moment that I'm under the under this particular condition. Whoa. That creates a super combo that nobody, this is the kind of game where the more you get into it, the more you're likely to come up with ideas and combinations of abilities that no one has ever done before, even though this game has been going through extreme testing for years. That is the nature of it, that it is designed to be incredibly creativity inspiring. You don't solve problems because, oh wait, I got the right card and I'll use this card, and do I have enough resources? All right, I'll tap this so I got the resources. That's how these games normally work. In this game, right, I've got everything in front of me. How can I mix and match all these things to beat you? So that's our first game on the new show, Warline. And like I said, ending on May 31st. You know what occurs to me? I should have put down at the bottom of the screen when it ends. I am going to do that for the next one, because we're going to move right on to a game that is closing down on June 1st, and it is Resist. And now this is on GameFound right now. It's doing okay. It's basically got 2 days left, and it is a fantastic-looking solo card game, all about the Spanish Marquis, in their fight against Franco. I have to admit, this is not a lot of history I'm well aware of, and I appreciate the game is really going to try and bring that history to life, because they're really kind of, they're really focusing on that like a laser. But what got me in, first of all, were the designers. Trevor Benjamin is the co-designer of Mandala, and he's also the co-designer on War Chest, which I haven't played, but Undaunted, which I hear nothing but how amazing the Undaunted series is. His co-designer from Undaunted, David Thompson, is also here, and then they're joined by Roger Tankersley, and Sniper Elite, the board game, has been getting a lot of rave attention. So these three fellas working together to make a solo card game that has a really cool core idea. And unfortunately, I don't think there's anywhere in here where they just show the game set up. Of course, you can watch the videos to see the game set up. But I think there was, they showed like what the player mat is, and that maybe will help me show it to you. Yeah, so the player mat, when you set up, there are different missions you can go on. They are put here. Those are face up. You have a little bit of information, but each one of these missions has anywhere from 4 to 6 cards face down. Those could be guards, those could be hostages, those could be spies, those could be all kinds of things. You don't know what they are. And so every round, you are trying to decide, okay, which one of these missions am I going to go on, not with only limited information about what's there, and who am I going to go with? Because all of your cards, the members of your resistance, they have a stay hidden power and a revealed power. So when you're playing them, you say, okay, well, I think I'm going to bring in Domingo and Carlos and Manuel, because the three of them, if I can keep them all hidden, they should be able to take care of the basic requirements and finish this mission. You know what? Maybe I'll bring in Pilar as well, because I might have to reveal him. In case they hit me hard, I will bring him in, knowing that I'm going to reveal him, and therefore he's out of the game, but I'll keep the other three hidden so I can use them in a future round. I love this idea. It sounds so interesting and satisfying, and I watched a couple of the videos, and it proves out. Watch any of these videos on on this, folks. And if you're looking for a really interesting, historically rich and thematic co-op game with tough choices, the fog of war, not knowing what I'm going to face, trying to make my best laid plans ahead of time, and then, this is what it is. Okay, how am I going to use these cards now? I have to come up with a completely different plan, and let's see if I can pull it off. Who am I willing to lose so that everybody else can stay hidden in Resist?
Yeah.
So,
I'm excited about this just because the name you mentioned, Trevor Benjamin, he did a wonderful abstract game called War Chess for AEG a few years ago, which is excellent. So I'm really curious to see how he takes his skills from abstract to this card-driven game. And again, like you, I'm not really too familiar with the history, so I'm looking to learn something as well. So this looks fantastic.
All right. Well, cool. I think you've heard enough from me, folks. Ruel, how about you talk about one now? Right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Why don't we talk about my next game here? Let me see. This here is,
I believe
this one's going to be ending June 5th.
Yep, there we go.
And it is Deadball, the second edition. Now, this one is really interesting to me. This Deadball has been around for a while. A few years ago, the gentleman designer there, W.M. Akers, he designed this when he was expecting his first child.
Okay.
So, as he's raising his first child, he's trying to find a quick game to fill in the time. And obviously, he's a baseball diehard fan. And he created the system. It's really simple. It's just dice. One player is a batter, one player is a pitcher. You're both rolling standard RPG dice. So I think it's like you got a 100-sided die for the batter, which is like 2 10-sided, and then you get, depending on your pitcher's ERA, you're going to get different dice, and you just roll it, and you're going to add it and consult charts. It's really simple. But here's the thing, Rahdo, what I'm excited about. And really, I'm going to full disclosure, I actually backed this on Kickstarter just last week. So I am one of the backers. What's really interesting is that this community that has grown around this game is so passionate, and it's growing. And look, he asked for $500. He's right at $16,000.
Yeah.
So there are a lot of people into this game, and he totally encourages, almost like that sandbox thing you were talking about earlier. He encourages people to come up with house rules, and then he's gone. I think this might be the 4th or 5th edition of this game. I mean, it says 2nd edition, but they've done Deadball Year 3, Deadball 1927 or whatever, different versions of the game. So he incorporates these house rules with each iteration, and it becomes a more fully fleshed out game. So the basic game is always going to be rolling dice and consulting the charts, but now, with the help of the community and himself, there are all kinds of things you can add on, like pitcher fatigue. You can do double plays. You can, do all the different bits of strategy that are on baseball. Y'all know me. I am a huge baseball fan. I'm a huge baseball nut. And what is really neat about this, it comes with some standard players, that you can use, but you can literally just go to your local newspaper, get the box score from the game from last night, and enter all the stats from the game, and you could replay that game right then and there. Wow. All you need, the basic set, all you need is ERA for the pitcher, and then the batting average of the batter, and there you have it. That's all you need. So what I'm going to do, I'm excited about this. Over on my channel, folks, Ruel Gaviola on Twitch, you're going to find me real soon. I'm going to open up a box of baseball cards, and I'm just going to pull random cards, like I'm going to put a first baseman, a second baseman, and so forth, and I'm going to enter those into the basic game sheet. So, and then I'm going to play a game using the players I found on these baseball cards. I'm super excited about this. It is a really inexpensive as well, which I love because they're going to be printing it through, I think it's Drive-Thru RPG. So they handle the printer. You're just going to pay a small fee to get that shipped over to you. I love this model. I love supporting independent designers like this, and that's why it's on our list of games to check out ending June 5th, Deadball 2nd Edition. Baseball with dice.
That's amazing. You make me sad that I am not a baseball fan, because that is really cool. And it's interesting. I mean, you're right. It's the same thing I was talking about, Justin's. A game that is so wide open, so simple, and so elegant in its core, but that can expand in all kinds of interesting ways. And apparently, this is. I mean, just looking at these charts and whatnot that you play with, this is clearly for diehards. And I know that's you.
I mean, it's. Yeah, and that's the cool thing, too, because, as baseball fans, we're at heart stat geeks. We love stats, and what you're doing is just taking baseball card stats or baseball box scores, incorporating that into a player sheet, and then you're just rolling dice. And it's, I love the simplicity of it, but then as you get deeper into it, you're going to see how deep and how robust this system becomes with all the additional rules. But just the core system, I think, is wonderful. And that's, Deadball, Baseball with Dice, 2nd Edition, ending June 5th.
Let's move on then to a game that is
Okay.
coming on June 7th, 2 days later. It's not coming, it's leaving. So you only have 4 days left for a Deadball. You have a couple days more for the next one, which I think we're going to hear from Ruel about, Trailblazers, the John Muir Trail.
Yes, Trailblazers, the John Muir Trail. That, as you said, ends June 7th. I actually previewed this on my channel a couple of weeks ago. The designer Dan Rice reached out to me, and we worked something out where I played this with my buddy Daryl B. Gaming, and as you can see, it's beautiful. It is Andrew Bosley art, folks. We all love and know Andrew Bosley from games such as Everdell and Tapestry and all kinds of other beautifully illustrated games. This is a worker placement game that reminds me a bit about like the game Parks or Trails from Keymaster Games, but this one takes it to the next level. It's got worker placement, it's got set collection, it's got you're going along the John Muir Trail on the Sierra Nevada mountain range. And as you go, you're going to explore, you're going to take photos, you're going to collect different things. And as you can see there, I mean, it's got cute critters. It's got everything I love about nature. I'm not the biggest outdoorsman, but I want to be after playing games like this. You're going to see there, you're filling up your backpack, and that's going to unlock certain things. And as you're going to move up here, the altitude, you're going to get more special abilities as well. It's so good. I really, really enjoyed this one. It's played over 12 rounds. It'll represent the 12 days that you're on the trail.
Okay.
And it's a winner, folks. It's already been fully funded. They were like looking for $20,000. They're over $100,000. It's got a huge following, and I think it's going to be a hit when it comes out. I think it's going to be released next year, but I see this being a hit, and that's why I love it. It's Trailblazer, the John Muir Trail, ending in June 7th, I believe.
Yes. And it's interesting too. As I recall, you did a sponsored playthrough of it, and then you loved it so much, you just kept playing it on your channel anyway.
Yeah. It was like I couldn't stop. And the thing is, now one thing I played my buddy Daryl, and then I played two-handed where I just do it, Rahdo style, where it's like me versus Michelle. But here's the thing, folks. There's a solo game being developed by none other than John D. Clare, one of my favorite designers. And yeah, Mr. Clare is doing the solo game for this. So fantastic pedigree of designers here, and that's why it's a winner in my book.
Okay, well, another one to look for, and you've got until the 7th. But for the next one, you have until June 9th. And I think, based on where we're going, this is another one Ruel should talk about, Blaseball.
Oh yeah, Blaseball. So yeah, we just talked about my love of baseball, and this continues in Blaseball. Now this one was actually off my radar at first because I wasn't really sure. There was like this fantasy element to it, but it's got dice rolling, it's got set collection, it's got baseball. It's so much. It just looks fun. It's going to be different than the other game I was talking about, Deadball, where that's like hardcore stats, and your hardcore baseball fans are going to really love this. This one appeals more to a general audience, including baseball fans as well. I mean, check out that art. It's a lot of fun. Let me see. Where is... I had my notes here. Rain Waite and Michael Fox are the designers, and it's a two-player game. Again, the ongoing duel between pitcher and batter is at the heart of this game as well. So you're going to be using modifiers, and you're trying to score runs, but again, in a more fun fantasy realm type of setting. And I mean, baseball, folks. I want more sports games like this. Take the theme of sports and then use it in a creative way. I'm totally down with that. And that's why it's one game that we're looking forward to here on GameFound, Blaseball.
Okay, cool. Well, that is a nice one. And folks, I promise, no more baseball games. But that was...
That'll be it for this show.
Yeah, that was far out. The two games, covering the same topic, covering such radically different. So it's a good time. It's a good time to be a baseball fan, I would say. And that is ending, on June 9th.
June 9th.
June 9th, folks, is a big day because we've got another game ending on that day. It is Microcosmos. And this is one I'm really interested in. It's basically a very, very big game in a very, very tiny box. It is from publisher This Story Games, who previously had done Micro City, which I covered that a while ago. Micro City is fantastic. A great little, lots going on in a very, very tiny box SimCity style game. This is, I guess you'd call it a 3X game, because it is all about the exploration, the expansion, the exploitation, but no extermination, because in this world, an intergalactic war has ravaged planets, and people are homeless and all of that, and so we are traveling around in our terraforming ships, trying to bring planets back, turn them habitable, and then also pick up refugees and bring them to start new lives on these planets. And we're competing to be the best at it. And it looks great. A lot of game in a tiny little box. Really nice components. And so I knew I was interested because of the publisher and because Micro City was so great. But then I started looking through, and again, it has a really wonderful presentation. But here's the deal, folks. If you do one thing, can I suggest you go check out, it's going to be down here in the middle somewhere. Here's the fellow actually walking you through how to play it. That's all well and good, but that's not what sold me. Kimberly Tolson sold me on this game. She has a fantastic, the 3 things I like about Microcosmos. The way you level up your ships that kind of combo with your actual colonization efforts. The way that you have multi-use crew cards. That a crew member comes in being able to do one thing, and after you use that power, you move them to a different part, and then suddenly that unlocks a completely different power on them. Or you could ignore that 1-2 combo thing and instead go for like a core central power they've got. So you have a lot of flexibility with your crew cards, and between that and the leveling up, and I'll leave the third thing for you to watch, because I mean Kimberly Tolson is the best. It's why she's on the channel now doing run-throughs, and she 100% convinced me that Microcosmos is something that Jen and I would absolutely adore. I mean, it has a great presentation. It looks like really clean, simple, smooth gameplay, and you have until June 9th to check it out. Okay.
Yeah.
So don't miss out.
This is one of the games that overlapped on our list. This one looks a lot of fun, and I looked at it. It just reminded me. This almost looks like a tiny epic game, right? You've got all this gameplay in a small box.
I didn't want to say that because I'm sure they're like, we've heard it. Yes, we've heard of Tiny Epic. We get it, but we're doing our own thing. We're micro. We're not Tiny Epic, but I think it scratches the same itch, which is a good thing.
Yep. Totally. Cool. Okay. Right. You were speaking about June 9th. I've got a June 9th game, a game that's ending on June 9th as well. Let's see if we're in
sync.
Yeah, in sync. Yeah. So I want to say this correctly. I'm not sure if it's Ukiyo or Ukiyo. I'm not sure. But hopefully our viewers will correct my pronunciation. But I'm excited about this. Now, we just talked about how that reminded me of a Tiny F game. I feel like this game, this should have been, or this reminds me of a Button Shy game. It's a micro game. It's got 16, or I think it's 16 cards or 18 cards.
Right.
Button Shy usually goes 18. I think this is 16. But it's a tile lane or card lane game where you're trying to complete objectives. You can play 2 to 4 players, but you're trying to complete objectives that are in your hand, and you're laying these down. Like you want to put, so many of a symbol in a row or in a column or whatever. And as you do that, of course, your opponents are blocking you, and they're trying to do theirs as well. The game's it's a really quick. I love these type of games that are like 5 to 10 minutes. But as you can see there in the video, look how this the board game state changes with every card that's laid down. You can lay them over. You can lay them, vertically, horizontally. Oh, I love puzzles like this. I saw this and I was immediately excited because this is something that I know Michelle and I would love. And also, this is actually a reprint. They did this, printed it 2 years ago, and they decided, hey, we're going to go back to Kickstarter and print it again because we had so much success with it. It's, again, fully funded, and it will be available until June. Is it 9th? Yeah,
June 9th.
June 9th. Yeah, that's right. So that is Ukiyo or Ukiyo. I apologize for butchering the name if I did.
I am embarrassed. I totally missed this one. And I mean, this is what I was talking about earlier with my Trailblazers that's going to be coming. It's funny, the 2 Trailblazers in the month of June on
that's right.
for board games. Total coincidence. But this card patchwork thing, laying cards on top of other cards, I love it. And so few games do it. So seeing another one is very, very exciting indeed.
Agreed.
Okay, cool. So that was Ukiyo is your best guess. For folks who are listening
Ukiyo,
on the podcast, that is Ukiyo. If you want to go check it out. As of recording today, you've got 8 days to check it out, so don't miss it. Okay, but June 9th continues to be a very, 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 very busy day because we've got the Breach ending on that day. And now this one, Shay has already covered. He did a run through it on the channel, so you can definitely go check it out. And as soon as I made this video live, one of the first comments on YouTube was, oh, so this is Netrunner the board game? And yeah, this is Netrunner the board game in the best possible way. This is a competitive dungeon crawl game where the dungeon represents cyberspace. And we are hackers. Why? This seems like such a no-brainer idea to represent the traversal of cyberspace and dealing with viruses and looting data from corporations. Why not represent it in dungeon delving form? It's just such a great idea as a fresh new way to do dungeon crawling stuff. And again, you can watch Shay's video to get a good idea of how it plays, but it seems very, very sharp. Really does some clever and interesting stuff because of the nature of this theme. It's not just a cave, under a mountain. This is cyberspace. It is a very fluid and dynamic place. All kinds of things can happen here as you're dungeon delving, racing against fellow hackers to get the most data the quickest. And I'm not really going to spend much time on it because we've already done a full run through on the channel, and you can go check that out. There'll be a link for it down in the show notes. Shay did a great job. I think this was his #1 game that he played in May. He rated this higher than anything else. He absolutely adored it. So I just wanted to mention in passing, in case you hadn't checked it out, you've got 8 days to check out, or less, to check out The Breach.
Nice. All
yes.
Cool.
Okay, are we done with June 9th yet? I don't think we are.
No, we're not. There is, I believe, one more that I have.
There are 2 more. So this next one is yours. Why don't you tell us about Union Stockyards?
Union Stockyards, yeah. So this one is about the meatpacking district in Chicago, late 1800s, mid to late 1800s. I don't know much about this history, and that's why I'm excited to play this one. I want to learn about it. This is an economic game with some worker placement. So you're looking at a game that's definitely more strategic. You're not looking at dice and luck and stuff. This is a heavier strategy game, and I like some of those too, folks. So that's what I'm excited to do is play as one of the meatpacking kings or whatnot. And you're trying to manipulate the market. You got cattle, hogs, sheep, and everything else. You're trying to buy low, sell high, basically. And you're going to do that through worker placement. And here's the thing: you have to be sure. And again, just like in real life, you've got to be sure that your workers are happy, because they may go on strike. You've got to keep track of that, because then there you can see right there on the board there is a picket line. That's another track that you have to keep track of and you have to worry about. All kinds of stuff. The components look fantastic. It comes with this really nice custom insert as well. I'm excited about this. This is, I focus on some lighter games so far this show, but this one is one on the heavier side that I'm looking forward to, by Dwayne Wolf, and it is ending yet again on June 9th. So go check it out on Kickstarter. That is Union Stockyards.
Yeah, you say heavy. I think of everything that's on our list today, this is probably the heaviest game. And you didn't even talk about all the stuff. There's also like a polyomino Tetris tile laying style thing, except you're not laying tiles, you're laying actual little buildings that represent the different upgrades you give to your operation. And again, all driven by real history and trying to bring this time alive and all that. Yeah, is very impressive. Honestly, I looked at this one and I almost worried that maybe it's a bit too heavy for me and Jen, quite frankly. I mean,
oh, really?
Yeah, just because there's so much going on in the market manipulation, and you have your own valuation versus what the market will bear, and trying to anticipate which way it's going to move seems very, very smart. But even still, we are not done with June 9th. There is one more game to talk about on this very busy day that everything is closing. So, folks, have your wallets ready on June 9th, apparently. This is maybe the biggest one of the bunch. It's Kabuto, Sumo, Total Mayhem, and so much more. And they are not kidding about the so much more. This is from board game publisher Board Game Tables, who, by the way, in their day job, actually make beautiful board game tables too. But by night, they're a board game publisher, and they are making fantastic ones. And what they've done with this Kickstarter campaign, which is up to over $400,000 now, it's doing huge. They are bringing in expansions or extensions of 4 of their biggest hits: Kabuto Sumo, On Tour, QE, and Bites. And I figured since there's literally 4 games in this, we could split this up. Now, I know you've played Kabuto Sumo, right? So
I have.
What's the deal with that?
So this is a dexterity game, and the best way to explain is if you've ever gone to like either Dave and Buster's or Chuck E. Cheese or even gambling in Las Vegas, you have those machines that push the quarters down. You drop a quarter in, it's almost like a cascading waterfall effect, where if you drop a quarter in the right place, then it pushes it off and then you collect either quarters or money or tokens. This is the same concept. You're taking your little these are like little beetles and bugs and stuff, and they're all wrestlers, right? Really cute theme, very family friendly. And you're going to take your piece and move it, and you're trying to knock off your opponent's piece and stuff. And there's other bugs and stuff. It's a lot of fun. It's super cute. And I know Tony Miller, the designer, he's a big wrestling fan. So he took his love of wrestling and incorporated into this. And he made this with, I think his son might have helped him, test out the prototypes and stuff. But very cute game. It's a lot of fun. It's a really maybe like 25-minute game or so. Very neat entry into the dexterity game genre.
Yeah. If you've again, folks, scroll down in the links. There's links directly to all these pages, so you can check them out. And if you watch some video of this game being played, it's just so weird how, okay, I know I'm going to push this beetle in. It's going to, and it did something completely different every single time. Yep. And now the expansion takes it from the original, what was it, like kind of sumo wrestling, and introduces kind of a WWE flair, because now there's chairs and tables and ladders and whatnot that we're trying to slide on as well. Yeah, it looks very, very cool. And it's absolutely fantastic. It's definitely something I'd like to play someday. But number 2 in this collection is On Tour, Paris and New York. And now, while previously Kabuto Sumo was getting an expansion, this is a sequel and to On Tour, which as far as I'm concerned is one of the greatest roll and writes of all time. For the longest time, it was my top ranked roll and write game, in fact. And I am so excited about this new offshoot because it keeps the same core gameplay that is all about players trying to plan out for the band they manage the perfect route across a map with ascending numbers, rolling dice every round and drawing cards, and those really limit you and constrict you into what you can do. And it's just an incredibly tension-filled, easy to understand but tough to master puzzle, and it's just great. Paris and New York take all the same core gameplay, but they give you new maps to play on that really ratchets up, one, the challenge of the game. The Paris map, which if you want to, you can watch me and Ruel actually play against each other, and you can play with us. There's a link for that down in the show notes, because you can download your own copy of the Paris map and play and see if you can beat our score. That one it doesn't really change the rules, but with a couple little tweaks, it suddenly makes the game like 5 times heavier than it's ever been before. Really, really crunchy. And then the other one, which I've also done a run through for, is the New York map. That one, it after anything makes the game a little bit easier. It's not quite so challenging to be able to pull off really good moves. It's a bit more laid back. But at the same time, the New York map adds a lot of new features, so it becomes more complex. So with On Tour Paris and New York, combined with your original On Tour, you've got a really fast, simple, elegant, quick player, or you can then ratchet up its depth really heavily, or its complexity. And I think that's a really, really interesting, it gives you 3 different ways to play On Tour depending on what your mood is. And I absolutely love it. On Tour, Paris and New York. But then there's the next one. I
was going to say, I love On Tour as well, and we had a great time playing Paris. I'm looking forward to New York. It reminds me of, Welcome To. You have different flavors of Welcome To, depending on how complex you want to do it. On Tour is the same way. The base game, wonderful roll and write, and now it's ratcheting up the complexity and just the flavors of the different games with Paris and New York. Paris was great. It made one little tweak there with that river that, for me, just like, wow, that was awesome.
Yeah.
So, be sure to check out our playthrough, folks. And but hey, there's 2 more games part of this Kickstarter here. QE, this expansion, folks. I love QE. For my money, it is the best pure auction game out there. Again, this is, if you're just talking about straight auction, QE is amazing. Because you can bid whatever you want. You can bid $1, you can bid $10, you can bet $1 billion, because you are the country that you're in charge of printing your country's money, and eventually you want to use that money to get all these different industries, and that's this little set collection bit to it. Now the brilliant part of this game is when whoever everyone's going to bid on something. You're going to open sell something. People are going to bid, but only the bidder and the winning bid know exactly how much it is. So it's a game of partial information. You're trying to deduce how much everyone's spent and how many items everyone's bought already. And then you're going to go to the end of the game. You're going to get points for the different sets that you collect, different industries, and then on top of that, whoever's spent the most money, they have bankrupted their country. They lose automatically. They are out. So you want to spend a lot to get all the stuff you want, but you don't want to spend too much and bankrupt your company. I think it's a brilliant move, and I'm looking forward to the expansion. Honestly, I'm not sure exactly. I know they're adding some other elements to it, but oh gosh, what is it exactly? But I mean,
I know one thing is they're adding cryptocurrency as
cryptocurrency,
a new alternate,
yes.
which obviously completely disrupts the way the game normally works. And I do know there are some folks I saw on Board Game, you're like, don't glorify crypto. It's obviously such a problematic platform. The interesting thing is about QE is it's a parody. QE has always been about saying, look how ridiculous this system is. Look how completely nuts and out of control it is. And they're doing the same thing with crypto, trying to use the game as a method to show the problematic nature of it. So I know some people are like, oh, the game glorifies it. No, QE doesn't glorify anything. QE rips everything apart.
Yeah. And, I just want to say one thing, too. Board game tables, again, we're talking about how their day job is making tables. All of their games, folks, if you haven't bought any of their games yet, the components are outstanding. They are just beautiful. And, you have these lovely dry erase boards. No worry. You don't have to worry about a, pad of paper or laminate them or whatever. These things are built to last. So, yeah, check this out. That is QE, the expansion.
Cool. Alrighty. Well, but there's one more on this one Kickstarter. No wonder it's doing so well, because these are all great games. And this is one that neither Ruel nor I have played, but it looks really, really sweet. It is called, which one was that? Bites. And this is, I guess you'd kind of call it a time track game. Is set up, you randomly create a whole bunch of foodstuffs that have gotten strewn about your picnic, and ants have shown up ready to grab all those tokens. And it's a set collection game. On your turn, there are 5 ants, one for each of the different types of foods. Like there's the purple ant who likes berries, there's the red ant who likes apples, there's the yellow ant who likes bread, and you will pick one of those ants and move them forward along the track to what they like, but then you will either grab the piece ahead of where they landed or before where they landed. And that's your whole turn. And it's going to keep on going like that until all the ants, through player control, are going to make it from one side of the park to the other. And when they get to the end, they end up taking, there's this cool little 3D stand that they end up, kind of like at the Olympics, there's like the gold and the platinum and the silver, where people are higher and higher. They do that here. The first ant is going to be on, I think, the bottom row, and then the second, the third, and the fourth. And at the end of the game, where your ants rank determines how valuable are all those foodstuffs you picked up. So if you've been picking up a lot of grapes, you want to make sure that nobody puts the grape ant at the bottom of the podium, so all those grapes are only worth 1 point. So there's a lot of subtle and hidden player versus player outthinking and maneuvering. So the core game seems really cool, and it's wonderfully produced, as you can see from this picture. But what really separates it is every time you play, there are 4 decks of cards. Each one randomly changes something, adds a new rule, adds a new scoring rule, adds changes the function of the ants, does all kinds of things. So the game has hundreds, if not thousands, of different variations you can play. And these are really significant. Adding new specialty types of ants. Changing it so the entire end game is, you want to be at the bottom instead of the top. So you want to be there last instead of first. Really changing things up. So, and on top of that, Board Game Tables proudly proclaims, and I think it'd be hard to argue, they have the greatest chit tokens of any board game ever. Because they're dual-sided. If you look closely in the picture, you can see the grapes are actually 2 tokens, so that when you flip them over, they're different size, so they have like kind of a little 3D effect to them. Yeah. That is an attention to detail that is so above and beyond. I'm really, really impressed by everything about it. As you can see, it's everything about this campaign is amazing that they've squeezed so much into it. So it is no surprise that, what is it called? Kabuto, Sumo, Total Mayhem, and so much more is doing so very well. Right. And what was it? You have 9 days. And I think that was it. We are done with June 9th. We can finally move on. Okay.
Why don't we move to the very next day, Richard?
How about
June 10th?
Yes, I think that's a good idea. Let's
June
talk.
10th is, so after your wallet has taken the hit on the 9th, I'm going to save you all a few bucks. We're going to go with June 10th. Only $5 or €5, I believe, or is it pounds? I can't really see. Dice Park.
Euros.
Euros, thank you. Dice Park Dungeons of Doom. Now, I've backed the previous game from designer Baraka here. They did a game just last month, actually a couple of weeks ago, called Airflip, and they're doing the model sort of like how we talked about Voyages recently.
Yep.
They're doing a print and play model. So for $5, you can get this game. And Rahdo, I'm going to tell you right now why I got excited about this. It's a roll and write game, and it gives me vibes of Railroad Inc., one of my favorite roll and writes.
Okay.
Yes. So you're going to roll the dice. You're going to have your own standard dice, but as you can see there, your dice correspond to different little patterns that you're going to put on here, like one straight line, one a corner or a cross. And you're going to connect these because you're creating a dungeon. You're trying to make the scariest dungeon out there. So as you connect your little route there, you're going to add terrors or creatures, and you're going to fill the terror gauge, and that's going to determine how scary it is. And every player is going to have their own like challenges or basically secret objectives to fulfill as well. And that's why I'm digging that. I think it's Railroad Inc-ish, got that vibe to it where you're trying to connect routes and stuff, but at the same time you're adding this new element of making it as scary as possible with all the different creatures and stuff. And so this one, after your wallet takes the hit on the 9th, save a couple of bucks and you can play, back Dice Park Dungeons of Doom. This is a print and play only. So, it's going to be one of those games once it's fully funded. I mean, it's already fully funded, but once it's the campaign's complete, you won't have to wait long to start playing it.
Yeah, it's absolutely fantastic. Voyages wasn't the first print and play game on Kickstarter, but it was the first one that really caught on. And so I think now we're going to be seeing more and more people who are incredibly passionate, always want to design a game, do not have the means to get an account with Panda Manufacturing and deal with all that stuff, but just want to get their dream out there. The one I mentioned earlier, Shoes Tactics, just an independent guy in Vietnam who's always wanted to design a game, and he'll be able to get it out there. Same thing for Dice Park Dungeon of Doom. It's so exciting that this just opens the doors for everybody. A game where $1,200, $2,000, $5,000, that could be considered a huge success on Kickstarter. That's wonderful. And so I'm really glad you pulled this one out too.
Yeah, I really love that. I'm glad you brought that up. Just designers' dreams, right, to have their game published. And, again, with the shipping crisis in the world right now and everything else that we have to worry about, here's one way that designers, they're taking the limitations that they have and they're going around that. They're going to say, you know what, we're going to go print and play. Let's use the limitations we have and let's get creative with it. That's why I'm excited for Dice Park Dungeons of Doom.
Okay, well, cool. We are done with that day, but we just a few days later, folks, the 1,100-pound gorilla of the industry is going to be closing down. It is Castles of Burgundy, the special edition, which is currently sitting at 1.4 million euros. So what that, like 1.5, $1.6 million. And oh my gosh, yeah. Castle of Burgundy, as far as I'm concerned, and many people are concerned, is the greatest Stefan Feld game of all time. Some of us consider Stefan Feld to be the greatest board game designer of all time, so surely that makes this one of the greatest games of all time. I would certainly argue it is. And forever, while its pedigree was unparalleled, its presentation has always lacked a little bit. This is the dream, the special edition that makes Burgundy look better than anything else on the market. Gorgeous, pops out color, multi-layer player boards, keep everything nice and tight. And hey, while we're at it, it's the Castles of Burgundy. Let's treat those castles with a little bit of love and throw some castle miniatures in too. And oh my gosh, that's all well and good. But that's not what gets me excited about this, because I've still got my original first edition Burgundy, and I've got my, my anniversary edition Burgundy. Why do I want this one? Because Stefan Feld has come back and he has created a ton of new content, a whole bunch of new modules that are available here. And you might say, but that's nice, but Burgundy doesn't need miniatures. It doesn't need that. Well, okay, if that's fine, then don't go for the gameplay, which includes metal coins and castle miniatures. Go for the classic. At 85 euros, you are getting 10 games worth of content in this box with all of the expansions that have come out for Burgundy over the years, plus the new stuff that has been created now. It's absolutely amazing, and it's just going to keep going up and up and up. And they're just going to keep unlocking more and more content. And honestly, I'll be honest. I mean, I want to be pure, Ruel. I want to say it's just about the gameplay for me. Clearly, I just need the 85 because I don't need those miniatures. But for only 95, I can get the miniature castles in the metal coins. Right. But if I'm going to do that, then I can go to the sun drop where, oh my gosh, look at those miniatures when you get them sun dropped, finished, and all of that. Burgundy is deservedly one of the best Euro designs of all time. And it's only, I mean, it's finally, I mean, look at that, you know, player boards to keep track of all the different pieces, you know, or like these stands. It's always deserved this insanely deluxe treatment. And I, for one, am happy to have it because I will have this. And then I will donate my old Burgundies to the Dice Tower West Convention Library so people can be able to enjoy them down in Vegas. Yeah. But yeah, oh man, yeah. It's more than I ever could have hoped for, quite frankly, when I first heard, oh, they were going to be doing this. Who is it? It's Aaliyah, the original publisher, working with Board and Dice, if I recall correctly. Two publishers who hadn't really worked together before, coming up with Burgundy like we've never seen it before. And again, I just cannot stress how amazing Burgundy is. And yeah, it's no surprise to me that probably before the end of the day, it'll be up to 1.5 million. For a dry, dusty, soulless Euro. Which just happens to be one of the greatest board games of all time. And yeah, you've got until June 14th is when the campaign closes. And if, you know, the more people back, the more stretch goals we will unlock along the way.
Yeah, I love Castle Burgundy. It is my favorite Stefan Feld game. And like you said, this game has been long overdue to get the treatment it deserved, especially for us folks who have colorblind issues.
Oh, yeah,
you know, some of those older editions, like this one, again, just based on my eyes, just seeing what's on here, it looks like it's going to be perfect for me. And, you know, if you do that Royal Pledge, I was looking at it, it's got acrylic tiles. I mean, wow. I mean, come on.
Drool.
It's that little meme or the little gif. Take my money. Shut up and take my money.
I mean, the thing is, I mean, I know this is expensive. Yeah. I mean, and we shouldn't make light of that.
It's not
but
cheap.
This is a game that if you know Burgundy and you know you love Burgundy as much as me and Ruel does, that's not unreasonable. I mean, this becomes like an heirloom item, quite frankly.
Right.
Which it's deserving of. You know, the same way, you know, those really expensive crokinole boards. You know, and people, you know, buy them knowing, oh, I will literally give this to my kids someday. Burgundy has gotten that kind of love now, and I couldn't be more happy about it. All right.
Same here.
But that's not all that's happening on June 14th. On June 14th, we also have a slightly smaller game, an adorable game, Bark Avenue, which is a route optimization, pick up and deliver hand management game, all about being the best dog walker you can be in New York City. And you know what, folks? I don't need to talk about this too very much because Shay already did a fantastic run-through of this for the channel. And here's the thing. Shay could not help to be charmed by it, even though he is a cat person. And he freely admitted that in his video. Look, I'm a cat person. I wasn't, but yeah, it charmed me. You can't help but fall in love with these dogs. But the gameplay seems like it's really leaning into the theme really hard because you've got this big board of Manhattan that you're walking all over the place. You are collecting more dogs who have different places they want to go to, and you're trying to figure out the best path. Right? Well, okay, this little pug over here wants to, wants to hit a fire hydrant, and the beagles, they want to go to the dog park and play, and and the Labrador needs to poop right now. What is the best path I am going to take to meet the needs of these dogs and get them back to their owners happy so that I can get paid, please? And if there's not a sweeter, more charming, and lovely theme, I can't imagine. If you're a dog lover and you love pick up and deliver, you owe it to yourself to check this out. And like I said, it convinced a cat person that, maybe dog walking is kind of fun. It looks absolutely adorable. Again, check out Shay's run through. It really gets the idea across. Bark Avenue.
Yeah, I think there's no better endorsement from a cat person like Shay to give it up for this game. So I think it looks. I don't know if we've ever said this on the R&R show, but I believe it looks adorbs.
I think you might have dropped that from time to time.
Okay, well, I've just dropped it again. It definitely looks adorbs. I'm looking forward to that one. Okay.
All right.
So, do we have one more?
We are not done with June 14th yet. June 14th is a busy day for closers because if there's anything that's going to beat Castles of Burgundy in the month of June, it's going to be Arcs.
Yeah. And now this is so they're over $1 million, and this is the strength of Leader Games. They make outstanding games. Root, Oath, Vast. I mean, they're all one word because that's all they need because they're so awesome. Arcs is the latest one. I'm fired about this, Richard, because it is a space opera in a box. Y'all know how much I love sci-fi. And what's really caught my eye, first of all, it's 60 to 90 minutes. We're not talking like Twilight Imperium space opera. We're talking something a little more manageable and more approachable. Because if you know Root, now that can be a bit intimidating to new players. I think they're taking this and making it a little more accessible. There's going to be similar things here. You're going to start with symmetrical factions with everyone, but through the gameplay, it's going to become asymmetrical. And then there's this really cool, for me, the mechanism. It's trick taking basically.
Oh.
And you're going to play cards, sort of like I believe it's Brian Boru who recently did that, like a trick taking thing where you're going to do some area control and move around. But here's the thing: halfway through the game, you have an intermission. And at this intermission, rules change. Ooh. Things are going to come in. New rules are going to come in. It's going to change gameplay. Oh my gosh. This is why this game has already gotten over $1 million. I mean, look at the art. It's cute. It's accessible. And the gameplay is smart. And oh my, I am so excited about this. I believe it's going to, I mean, come on, folks. It's got over $1 million. It's a huge hit already. But like, once again, Leader Games shows why it is one of the leaders, leaders of the game industry, folks. Arcs looks amazing. I'm so fired up. I think it was Lord of the Board, Sam. He's a huge Root fan. He was talking about how much he loves this already. And Thinker Themer, Amy and Maggie did a little bit on it as well. And my friend Casey at Brain and Jar. I mean, everybody is raving about it. And come on, folks, Arcs, it's out there. It's going to be a hit, and that's why I'm excited about it. And that is June 14th. You got a couple of weeks still.
Yep, yeah, you can't touch the pedigree on this. My only thing I have to say is, whoa, you're killing me. 3-player minimum. Come on, guys.
Yeah.
I mean, that's compared to, Root, ultimately, they ended up doing a lot of Automa development and stuff like that, and, actual co-op options. So I expect a bright future for Arcs. And I know at some point I will get to play this game. It will work for me as a Care Bear playing 2 players. Just not today. That's okay.
Just not today.
Yes.
Yeah. Now, one thing I do want to point out what's interesting, this campaign, as opposed to the Castle Burgundy thing, there are no stretch goals. What you see is what you get.
Oh, wow.
And, they have just launched it as is. And I love that. There's the $60 pledge. There are no stretch goals, no unlocking stuff. You're going to see what you see is what you get. And I love that. People are so excited because they know there's a $100 pledge as well that gives you, I guess, the fancier bits and stuff.
Oh, it gives you an expansion, basically.
That's it, folks.
Yeah.
The expansion, yeah.
Yep.
So, they're going on the strength of their, with their pedigree, and, they make awesome stuff. So I have no doubt that it's going to be a fantastic game. Looking forward to playing it.
Cool. All right. We are finally made it past June 14th, but not very far, because on June 16th, we've got Hacktivity. And you already know how I feel about this game, folks. It's, it's a smaller, not quite as ambitious as some of the big games we were talking about today. Just a little passion project from a few folks. And to me, it just knocks it out of the park. I was going to say knocks it out of the water, and I knew that was wrong. Or blows it out of the park. Whatever. It does all of those things. Because with the variety of it comes with like this big book of all these different missions where the different types of boss viruses fundamentally change the rules. And again, I've played it solo. It works great, but I played it with Jen, and Jen was not predisposed to be interested in this subject matter. She doesn't really care about cyberspace or hacking or viruses or all that. But we both fell hard in love with it because of the really interesting gameplay, the collaboration between players. And it kind of, I don't know why it didn't occur to me until just this video. It reminds us of the same feels we get out of Gloomhaven, where, we do all our planning, we know what we want to do, we've got our stuff in hand, and then, reveal, and everything changes. If you have to do that, if you have to play that thing, because that's the one thing we were hoping you didn't get, that's okay, because I can heal you. I can't tell you how much I can heal you, but don't worry, we'll heal. And you're like, I just got hit for 4. Wah! I can only heal you for 1. Okay, now what are we going to do? It's just, the simple, brilliant elegance of, hey, are you going to play this for the top action or the bottom action? It works for Gloomhaven. It's why it's one of the most popular games of all time. And it works here as a very, very fast-playing, really streamlined, fluid, this is going to be a half-hour game, or certainly under an hour, and very satisfying, really tension-filled with all the different ways you could die, only one way you could win, and every round being smart about the decisions you make with that core decision of, we're drawing 4 cards. Okay, I think we're ahead of the game. I think we can afford to draw 3 of the bad cards and only one. Oh, God, no. Okay, I'll wait to see what you do, and then we'll start trying to figure this out, kind of thing. It's just a blast. I recommend it highly. I can't wait to get. Oh, and heck, it's still overhead. I didn't mention this, but you'll notice plexiglass screwed onto the boards that holds all the little stuff in place.
Wow.
That is very, very nice too. For I believe first-time publishers to go that extra mile. Again, remember, one lucky winner of this game, this episode. If you have heard the secret word, hopefully you've been listening. But yeah, this game is fantastic, and you have. You have until June 16th when the campaign closes down, and I hope over those last few days it finds its secret sauce and continues to climb, because I love this game to pieces. Hacktivity. Okay. Phew, right. We're almost done with the month, folks. Just one more game to talk about that is coming due on June 21st. Is that right? Yes. Well, take it away. I'm tired.
The Gig. Now, we talked about this before. This came up on a previous R&R show. The Gig, it's a dice rolling jazz game. You are gigging musicians, and it's a dice. Oh my gosh, now it totally blanked here. Roll the dice, dice placement game, and you are trying to work in sync with each other. As jazz musicians, you're playing your solos, you're improvising, and you're trying to make it all work together to, score the most points through your solos and through the instruments. One player's gonna have the drums, the saxophone, and the bass and whatnot. And can you all work together in a way that creates the most beautiful music together? That is The Gig. I forgot the name of is it the Jazz Gig or?
The name of the publisher?
Yeah, sorry.
It's Lewis Shaw is listed
Lewis
here.
Shaw, okay.
Yeah. Yeah, this looks really, really cool to me too. This was also on my short list. If Ruel hadn't been talking about it, I would too. The idea of working in synchronicity with the different, instruments to roll and, come up with the best composition. I have the best song, the best solos. It seems really, really sharp. And how's it doing? It literally just launched this morning, so that's why it's got 20 days to go. And I am very, very enthusiastic about it as well.
Yeah, I was just going to say, and again, this is one of the joys of Kickstarter or GameFound. These passion projects, this is not normally a theme that you would see, out on, down at your, major, local, or your gaming stores or, whatnot. So this is obviously something that really hits home close to the designer and publisher, these type of themes where it's a very narrow niche thing, which I love. I love music. I enjoy listening to music. I may have played not in a jazz band, but in a thrash metal band back in the day, folks. But that's a story for another time. If you watch the R&R show, the live show, you may have heard that story. Yes. But this one I'm excited about. It's The Gig.
One more thing I want to mention too. Roll and writes tend to be nice, light affairs, but I love the fact that they went and got Heavy Cardboard, the premier channel for covering really big, heavy. Yes. And they got Edward to work on it as well, and Edward spoke highly of it. So this isn't just for light gateway family gaming either. It looks very, very sharp. And that's it. That's the month of June. Jeez Louise. Somehow I thought this new approach was going to be quicker. It did not seem to be the case. Oh my gosh.
Wow. Maybe it's just a busy month, but man, there's a ton of games we talked about.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, well, a bunch coming on the channel and a bunch more besides. So June is going to be a painful month for folks. And good luck out there. Hopefully, we steered you right towards the stuff that we think is the best of what's coming in, or what's coming from us and what's closing down elsewhere over the month of June. And before we go, did you hear the word? Did somebody say sauce? Why would somebody say sauce? Well, that's a whole nother story for another time. It has to do with, should this be called, what was it? Oh, crowd sauce rather than,
I'm crowdsource.
Crowdsource, thank you. I'm losing it. This first time we've done this, oh my goodness. Hopefully, folks, you enjoyed it. This is an experiment. We're trying a completely new sort of thing. In addition to sending in the game when the secret word was said to contest@rahdo.com. Again, let us know in the comments. What do you think? Did we talk too much? I don't know how I ended up co-hosting with the second most chatty Kathy in the industry compared to me. Once we get going, we just can't stop. But a lot of good stuff.
It's the funny thing, we both share this passion for the hobby, and obviously it comes through in our speech, so we may run a bit long, but
Yes.
Again, thank you folks for watching and for your patience, and again, we hope that you found something here that you're gonna spend those pennies on, and found something good for you as well.
Yeah. Well, thank you, Ruel, for doing the time. I had a good time. Thank you, everybody, for watching and for any suggestions you have for a show name or anything. And also just thanks to my wife, Jen, and thanks to Michelle, too. Thanks to everybody. And have a very, very nice day, everybody. Talk to you later. So long. Bye-bye.